Broadcasting live from the Capital OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
We would like to thank Gulfstream Park for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB. Gulfstream Park's championship meet runs now through March 30th with high-quality action throughout, including the Florida Derby on Saturday, March 29th. Welcome to Racing Across America on this Sunday morning. I am Seth Merrow, and do want to alert you. We saw, thanks to Gulfstream for sponsorship of the programming and events, but I want to remind you that we will be at Gulfstream next Friday and Saturday morning, so mark it on your calendar. We'll have a recap on Sunday as well, but Florida Derby coverage. We're not usually on Handicapper Support and Racing Across America on Fridays, so definitely mark that. 8:30 on Friday, Handicapper Support, Racing Across America, live from the Gulfstream Park paddock. And then on Saturday morning, 8 a.m. will be our kickoff time. That's next Friday and Saturday, live from Gulfstream Park. And we'll have some cut-ins during the days as well. Should be fun. Looking forward to the trip. Looking forward to the weather, actually. But it should be a nice couple of days. I'm just pulling up here because they did draw. It's a 10-horse field for the Florida Derby. Sovereignty, the 8-5 favorite, but got stuck with the outside post position. So we'll see how it all works out on Saturday. And again, we'll be there live with Florida Derby, nice undercard of stakes as well. So looking forward to it. Hopefully you are too. Don't forget today here at the Clubhouse Racebook, Hoops and Horses. You can watch the last round of second round games today here at the Clubhouse Racebook. Come on down, watch all the racing action and all the NCAA action, which is kind of played out so far. And I read, I hadn't even thought about it, but it may be true. The first round, you hope for the Cinderella team to kind of latch onto the first weekend. There really weren't any of those this year. And I hadn't thought about it, but it's probably true with the NIL situation. There will probably be less of that going forward. Because if you're a mid-major and you have a player who kind of steps up, they're gone after the season. So it's hard for those teams now maybe to put together spectacular rosters that outperform their spot on the hierarchy. So again, it played out pretty logically over the past, 3 days or so. We'll see how it works out today. Mike Rapoli going to the sidelines when St. John's was beaten by Arkansas yesterday. But maybe that works out well for him. Now he can concentrate on the horse racing side of things. I would expect we'll see him down at Gulfstream next Saturday. So, all right. Next Saturday down at Gulfstream, down at Oaklawn as well. But yesterday, it was Fairgrounds and Turfway with a couple of big cards. Today, closing day at the Fairgrounds. So, and Joe Christopher noted that they'll have some various people coming in and sitting in with them during the day. And he said it'll be a fun day today at the Fairgrounds. So check that out. But being closing day, mandatory pays in the various wagers, and the pick six has $62,000 down at the Fairgrounds. So if you're a pick six player, $62,000 mandatory on closing day at the Fairgrounds. All right, let's jump in and take a look at Fairgrounds and the situation yesterday. A little bit of an upset, and we'll work back from the Louisiana Derby. A little bit of an upset in the highlight of the day down at the Fairgrounds yesterday. The favorite wound up to be John Hancock at 9-5, who went out and set a lively pace, 22 and change, 46 and change. And so set things up a little bit for some closers. And Tiz-tastic got it done for Steve Asmussen. Tiztastic coming in off a 5th in the Rebel and a 3rd in the Southwest before that. Tiztastic going to be the number 3 horse. Joel Rosario on board at $17. Chunk of Gold at 10-1 closes to be second. The number 2 horse, an Instant Replay third. John Hancock, the favorite, fourth. I took a little shot with Hypnus. Hypnus winds up running 7th. Caldera, the D. Wayne Lucas horse, runs 8th. So, as I say, a little bit of an upset. 7-1, 10-1, 8-1 in the first 3 positions before the favorite runs 4th. Tiztastic, again, the 6th in the Rebel, the 3rd in the Southwest, had come in with only 2 victories. The maiden breaker and did win a stakes race at Kentucky Downs last September, that being on the grass. So that's a little grass experience. It'll be interesting to see how the rest of the career goes. The next step in the career will be the Kentucky Derby. Obviously, enough points there for Winchell Thoroughbreds and company, Asmussen trainee. Again, picking up enough points and we'll head there certainly. 95 Buyer, and I'm just looking, his lifetime best before that, 89, so step that up. And a 95, given what the rest of the class is doing this year, pretty good going into the Derby. This was the 5th Louisiana Derby win for Steve Asmussen, but never won the Kentucky Derby. Now, he took his 2022 Louisiana Derby winner, Epicenter, to Churchill and ran 2nd in the Derby. Gunrunner, who won the Louisiana Derby in 2016, ran 3rd in the Kentucky Derby. His 2 other, before yesterday, his 2 other Louisiana Derby winners for Steve Asmussen, 2008, Pyro, 2001, 50 Stars. But we'll see. Tiztastic headed to the Kentucky Derby, a son of Tiz the Law. And again, that was the 3rd victory in 8 career starts, maybe just getting good. Also, certainly, as I say, helped up by the pace, 22 and change, 46 and change. So it was a little zippy early with John Hancock out there, and he fades to 4th. But again, 95 Buyer, nice number. Good-looking victory, the chart margin over 2 lengths. So congratulations to Asmussen and company on the victory there in the Louisiana Derby. Also on the card yesterday, the Fairground Oaks for the ladies. And it was hard to get by Good Cheer. Good Cheer came in for Brad Cox, 5 for 5, had a win in the Rachel Alexandra to start the 3-year-old season at the fairgrounds. At the same trip, 1 mile and a 16th. So Good Cheer was completely logical. Betting public agreed, making that one 2-5. Good Cheer's the number 7. Ahava, the sibling to Vava, coming off the debut victory for Cherie DeVoe, runs 2nd, the number 3. Go Well's Delight, the 2, I thought was interesting. Ran 3rd, no threat and kind of a well-beaten 3rd. We'll see. I think this one will be a player in the 3-year-old filly division. Makes a little run here to make, a threat for 2nd, but does not catch Ahava. But Good Cheer looking pretty good. Now heads to the Kentucky Oaks, 6 for 6, a 91 Buyer yesterday. That was a lifetime best. Luis Saez on board. He's been on board for now 5 of the 6 victories. And again, nice performance for the Brad Cox runner to head on to the Kentucky Derby. That was the 4th Louisiana Oaks for Brad Cox. None of those have gone on to win the Kentucky Oaks, but Brad has won the Kentucky Oaks a couple of times. So Good Cheer. One of the articles I read was probably, I think, Marcus Hirsch in the Daily Racing Form. I think it was his article. It said maybe vies for favoritism with Tenma from the West Coast. We'll see what that one does in the lead up to the Kentucky Oaks, but it's hard to beat undefeated, certainly. So Good Cheer does what she has to do yesterday. I'm sure she was a single on a lot of folks' multi-race wagers down there and got it done at a short price, $2.80 there for the victory for Good Cheer. $2.80 in the Fairground Oaks, but it was a little bit different in the Munoz Memorial, 1 1/8 mile, the turf. I like Redistricting, who winds up 6th as the favorite. No, the 2-1 second choice. The favorite was actually Spirit of St. Louis at 7-5. But the winner, number 11, I'd Rather Be Blessed, 86-1, and had the lead all the way around. Top of the stretch, they kind of got to him, but couldn't go by. Kind of walked the dog early, 24 and change, 49 and change, 114 and change, and then had plenty left. Ben Curtis on board. I mentioned the last few days as we've talked about Fairgrounds. Ben Curtis has been having a nice meet down there. $174 and change. Gigante ran second. Cameo Performance ran third. The favorite, Spirit of St. Louis, runs fourth. Yikes, 170. I was looking on Twitter. A lot of folks were posting winning ticket, which always kills. Post your ticket before the races, folks. But I get it. You're excited. But folks were posting winning pick tickets. Some of them had all in this race, admittedly. But some people went 3 or 4 or 5 deep and used I'd Rather Be Blessed. And frankly, the price was kind of crazy. This was one that you could make a case was a live long shot. 2 races back in the Colonel Bradley. Now, admittedly, it was off the turf on a sloppy track. Ran an okay second. But in December in the Diliberto Memorial, ran a good second as well. That one was on the turf. Now, last time in the Fairgrounds, back in the middle of February, ran 4th. But it was a fairly close-up 4th in a field of 9. So, not saying this horse was super logical, but if you looked up at the board and saw the price was a little bit crazy for that one in there. First stakes win for I'd Rather Be Blessed. And coming out of the race, trainer Chris Hartman said maybe they'll look at the Elkhorn at Keeneland next up for that one. But as I say, that I'm sure that blew up a number of the one thing, though, as I say, people were posting tickets, and some of them were, some of them in this race had all, and so they were not cheap tickets. But a couple of the ones I saw posted were fairly reasonable using the $174 horse. But if you have a day where there's a good cheer, you can maybe take a little pop in there in a pick play, because you can single good cheer, and that allows you to maybe go a little bit deeper in some of the other legs. Now, I'm sure people thought, I'll go really deep in some of these legs because I'll single good cheer and I'll single Sierra Leone. That did not work out quite as well. Also on the card yesterday was the New Orleans Classic, and a lot of folks were looking forward to this because it was the seasonal return of last year's Breeders' Cup Classic winner Sierra Leone. Was not a particularly impressive performance in the seasonal debut for Sierra Leone, who went off as the 30-cent to $1 favorite. It was an impressive performance, though. Joe Christopher yesterday, we talked about this race. I won the battle, lost the war. I thought, if you're going to take a shot against Sierra Leone, yesterday was probably the day off a layup. There are bigger things down the road. So I had Hall of Fame on top. And at the top of the stretch, I thought I was in good shape. But, again, Joe Christopher yesterday talked about Touch Upon a Star, the number 5 horse here in the lead. A Louisiana-bred millionaire with plenty of speed. And the race scratched down to 5 horses. And Touch Upon a Star, 24 and change, 47 and change, kind of gets out there. Hall of Fame is running second, and that's Sierra Leone kind of clunking up for third. But Touch Upon a Star would not stop. And so at $15 in the field of 5, added a little value there. And as I say, may have knocked out plenty of those pick tickets, because I'm sure some people were looking at the 2 singles, Good Cheer and Sierra Leone as being a single too. But Sierra Leone gets beaten by 4.5 lengths in third. I thought Hall of Fame ran well. again, top of the stretch, I thought was going to get there, but just the pace worked against. And the pace obviously worked against Sierra Leone, too, who that one tends to appreciate a much faster pace and come from behind. So I was up against it a little bit yesterday in the seasonal debut. Touch Upon a Star, a 109 buyer. Very good. Subsequently, that led to Sierra Leone as a 103 Hall of Fame. I would guess would be right in between those two at probably a 106. So all three of them ran solid triple-digit buyers yesterday. And we'll see. As I say, wasn't an impressive seasonal debut for Sierra Leone, but it was the seasonal debut in a race that pace-wise wasn't quite setting up well. All of that said, again, congratulations to the folks behind Touch Upon a Star who came into the race, as I say, $1.1 million yesterday, picked up, another 300,000. So they're now approaching $1.5 million for a Louisiana-bred son of Star Guitar. This was the 15th victory in 21 career starts. This is a nice runner. Again, like a New York bred, there's a really potent Louisiana bred program down there with stakes races at the various Louisiana tracks during the year. But if you have a good one, you can bounce back and forth. And this horse has bounced back and forth between open company and state bred stakes races, and hence put a lot of money in the bank. And last year in this same race, the New Orleans Classic, ran second to Red Route 1. So this horse, again, very productive. And again, as I say about the New York breds, you have a talented New York bred, you can kind of pick your spots. There are New York bred stakes during the year. You can try open company. Same with a good Louisiana bred, and that is clearly evidenced by Touch Upon a Star yesterday in the New Orleans Classic. All right, there was a look at some of the action at the fairgrounds yesterday. Why don't we take a break, and we'll come back and we'll shift our attention. Big day at Turfway as well, highlighted by the Jeff Ruby for the 3-year-old. So we'll be back shortly with more on this Sunday edition of Racing Across America. Stay tuned.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
The studio recapping some of the nice action from yesterday. And again, want to keep reminding you next Friday and Saturday live from Gulfstream Park. And I keep reminding because A, we're going to be early on Saturday, but B, we're going to be early on Friday too, and we're not usually on Friday. So I want to make sure people mark that on their calendar. 8:30 on Friday, 8 o'clock on Saturday. Handicapper support, Racing Across America, live from the Gulfstream Park paddock. We'll have cut-ins during the day as well. Make sure you tune in. Should be fun. All right, Turfway yesterday. The Jeff Ruby Stakes stake, $777,000 up for grabs, a mile and an eighth. The trip. I was happy with my pick. I wound up second, but I took a little shot, 15-1 on the morning line with Flying Mohawk. Final Gambit, the winner, was in my mix. Poster was the $1.92 to a dollar favorite in here. I had Poster in my mix as well. That one winds up running fourth. But again, two that I had in, including my top pick running second. Number 4 is Final Gambit, the winner. Brad Cox, trainee in the 4th career start. Flying Mohawk, as I said, 15-1 on the morning line, eventually went off at 9-1, runs second. Maximum Promise third, and Poster runs fourth, the favorite. But Final Gambit, again, was making the 4th career start, broke the maiden in the 3rd career start, and just one of those horses that seems to be getting better with some experience. The numbers in the first 3 starts weren't spectacular. The Buyers, a 60, a 66, a 64. I have not seen a Buyer for yesterday's race. Be curious to see how much he might have moved forward. But with those Buyers and horses in the field that had better numbers, Flying Gambit went off at 15-1, $32.14. And again, you have the penny breakage down in Kentucky. Flying Mohawk, again, as I say, ran well, 3+ lengths behind the winner, but at 9-1, a decent second there off of a win down at the fairgrounds on the turf prior. And I had pulled up here the latest Kentucky Derby. Yeah, Flying Mohawk is in with the 50 points yesterday. I didn't know whether he had others. Yeah, he hadn't had state. So the 50 points puts him currently sitting number 9 on the leaderboard for the Kentucky Derby. Now, that said, both of these, Flying Mohawk and the winner, Final Gambit, have never tried the dirt. So it'll be interesting to see what I would think the Final Gambit with Juddmonte, I don't know. But I just think if you have enough points to get in, folks take their shot for the most part. You like to see when somebody gets realistic and says, I don't know whether we really have a Derby horse. Do we want to do that or just go in the more logical direction? But I get it. I get when people want to try. We'll see what they decide to do with Poster, who was coming off a third, in the Sam Davis. So the Sam Davis does not particularly get flattered, although Owen Almighty eventually came back and won the Tampa Bay Derby. But Poster, coming out of the race, doesn't hit the top 3 positions at Turfway, and John Hancock, same situation down at the fairgrounds. So, and they ran 1st and 3rd there. But again, Owen Almighty has had the better performance, winning the Tampa Bay Derby. So make of that all what you will going forward. But Final Gambit, Flying Mohawk come out with, obviously, again, enough points. We'll see what they decide to do going forward. That was your highlight yesterday at Turfway. And I'm just looking, I have my Turfway races in reverse order here. Let me switch up my charts and get to the Bourbonnette Oaks. Again, on a day for the 3-year-old boys, big races for the 3-year-old boys. On the Derby Trail, there's typically the gals on the Oaks Trail, and that was, of course, the case yesterday as well down at Turfway with the Bourbonnette Oaks. I liked White Rocks on the outside. That one is going to run 5th in here. The winner will be horse I had right underneath, Bless the Broken. It's a Will Walden trainee. John Velasquez on board. Went off at $6.59 to the dollar. As Catch Can runs 2nd. Frankie Dettori at 14-1, and at 7-2. Admit runs 3rd. But Bless the Broken cross-entered as well down at the fairgrounds, but Will Walden makes the right decision and heads to Kentucky. Doesn't head to Kentucky. Would have had to head to fairgrounds. Was actually based the past couple of works in March at Turfway, so they stick and it's the right decision. Was coming out of a third in the Rachel Alexandra behind Good Cheer and Go Well's Delight. But again, been working over the synthetic at Turfway. They stuck there and gets the victory yesterday. Chart margin just under 3 lengths. And again, Will Walden, son of Elliot Walden, trains John Velasquez on board. And now a couple of wins and 7 career starts. The maiden breaker in the career debut when this horse was in another barn, and then subsequently had run well. The couple of starts right before this, as I say, a third in the Rachel and a second in the Silver Bullet Day earlier in the Fairgrounds meet. It tried the Demoiselle up at Aqueduct last December. Didn't fare quite as well there. Well beaten 7th, but got the victory yesterday. And again, enough points to qualify. We'll see. And with good dirt experience under her belt already, I wouldn't be surprised to see a Kentucky Oaks try ahead for Bless the Broken. Fairly early in Will Walden's career as well. So be interesting to see how she proceeds over the next month or so, or month and a half or so, I suppose. Turfway also, the Kentucky Cup Classic. I did not have the winner in my mix, Mercanti. I used Verstappen, and that one was, I'm looking at the chart. The chart threw after a half, and they ain't kidding. Wound up 11th in the field of 11 at 9-2. The favorite was Paros, the number 2 horse, and that one winds up at 5-2, 7th. So shorter prices were not the 2 shortest prices were not offering up. Or I guess I'm looking at the chart. The favorite and the 3rd choice. 2nd choice winds up running second, Encino, who was 4-1 on the morning line and went off at 7-2. But the winner, Mercante, as I say, I didn't use that horse, but the horse was certainly usable. Went off at 13-1 and came in off a victory at Turfway. Last time, victory 3 starts back at Turfway. They bookended a 6th place finish that wasn't quite as good, but gets it done here. And, nice little ding-dong battle with Encino, but eventually puts that one away, and they are well ahead of the rest of the field. Mercante, Encino, and Hush of a Storm running 3rd, but Mercante gets it done. Again, $28.50 for career victory number 4. In career start number 11. So far it's been a nice, productive career. That was the stakes debut for Mercante, but as I say, had won 2 of the past 3. And those were the only 3 starts at Turfway. So coming into yesterday was already 2 for 3 on the synthetic at Turfway, and that's a nice stakes race as well. 20-1 on the morning line. Betting public was a little more enamored with that one, as I say, at 13-1. Nice performance there in the Kentucky Cup Classic. And we'll see. Again, this is for 4-year-olds. This is for that older division that's shaking out to be very nice this year. I don't know, looking at the record, and again, I haven't seen buyers for Turfway yet, but came in with an 88 lifetime best. And I don't know if yesterday's performance, or certainly the resume so far, Tavs Mercante is a real player at the top of that older division, but I think there's enough talent he can bounce around, and the connections can kind of pick their spots and maybe have some fun the rest of the year with them. And one of those that, if you do kind of pick your spots and the horse runs well and maybe picks up another couple of wins, at kind of a B-level older division stake, then maybe they do take a try at some point later in the year against maybe a little bit better. It'd be interesting to kind of keep our eyes on that. Also on the card yesterday, it was the Animal Kingdom. They had a couple other 3-year-old stakes, and this one was for 3-year-old sprinters. And the Animal Kingdom at 6 furlongs was for 3-year-olds. Favorite in here was Coming In Hot. I had that one down at the bottom of my mix, and that horse ran 4th. I used Big Vince on top, and Big Vince will run 3rd, the number 6 horse. The winner will be Kale's Angel, and I had that one in the 2nd slot, but wins like this one should have been favored. 3-1 as the second choice. And again, chart margin here just under 4 lengths. Mohair Sam runs second as the longest price on the board at 34-1. And then the horse I was interested in, Big Vince, at 6-1, runs third. Kale's Angel, a little kind of drifting a little bit in the stretch, but gets it done, as I say, with plenty to spare there lengths-wise. Kale's Angel came in 3 wins and 7 career starts. Peter Miller, trainee. So as that would indicate, started the career out in Southern California, but started the career on the turf and had at least one nice start on the turf. At Del Mar, broke the maiden. The others not so much, but came out of the maiden breaker and tried a couple of turf stakes. Then ships to Oaklawn, runs 3 straight stakes races down at Oaklawn, wins the Advent, third in the Smarty Jones behind Coal Battle, and wins the Renaissance. The third place finish was at 1 1/16 miles. The other 2 were sprints. So they decided to go up to Turfway and get back to sprinting, but try the synthetic for the first time with a win on the turf earlier in the career. So it turned out to be a good move for Peter Miller. And one of those 3-year-olds, interesting to see what they do with him going forward. Because, as I say, the third place finish in the Smarty Jones maybe indicates more of a sprinter, but do they have a real player? Again, that 3-year-old sprint division is a lot of fun every year and has some top quality races on the undercards of some of the Triple Crown races and beyond. Is this one good enough? Again, I'm interested to see the number. Came in with a 93 buyer as a lifetime best in that December sprint stake at Oaklawn. Again, we'll see what the number was for yesterday, and that may kind of indicate, because the 2 stakes just before that, Smarty Jones with the third was a 77. The win in the Renaissance was only a 70. So we'll see what the number is for Kale's Angel. And again, if this horse is potentially a player in that 3-year-old sprint division as the year goes forward. Wouldn't shock me, but again, I don't think it's what we've seen so far has defined this one as a player at the top level in that division. All right, the Rushaway, I mentioned 3-year-old stakes. And typically on this Jeff Ruby card, they run the Rushaway for late developers or maybe horses that, kind of the B string. And they're horses that are maybe a little bit interesting to watch going forward then to see if they can come out of this and maybe move up to the next level, as it were. And we'll see how it plays out for the Joe Sharp trainee. Banks, been training over at the Churchill Downs Training Center, been racing this winter at Turfway, comes in off a 4th in the Battaglia, a 7th in the Leonatus, and then won an optional claimer at Turfway before that. So had some good experience, not necessarily in stakes, but in the stake yesterday, got it done. Banks, Frankie Dettori on board. The winner, Megalodon in the second spot, and End of Romance runs third. But as the 2-1 favorite, Banks gets it done. Career start number 3 and career start number 6. And again, been working over at the Churchill Downs training facility and doing so with a bullet workout most recently. And Joe Sharp had a nice little meet with runners at Turfway. But as we mentioned with Joe Christofek yesterday, we'll know by the end of today. I didn't look at the results from yesterday, but when I talked to Joe on Friday, Joe Sharp, I think, was 5 or 6 ahead of Brad Cox. So it wasn't a done deal, but it was going to be tough to get by over 3 days. So we'll see. But again, Joe Sharp, nice meet down at Fairgrounds as well, but gets the stakes victory at Turfway in the Rushaway yesterday with Banks. And we'll see. Now you have a 3-year-old that put a little stakes race on the resume, and we'll see what they aim here. I would think this would be one where you would pick your spots. Again, another one of those where maybe you're looking for some of those second string kind of derbies and whatnot, and you pick up one of those, maybe then you step in to saltier company going forward, but we'll keep our eyes there as well. And finally, the Latonia, fillies and mares going a mile and a 16th. And this one, I did have the right idea. I like Dana's Beauty going out for Mike Maker. Nice win, 2 back at Turfway in a stakes race, and then went down to Gulfstream and ran 3rd. But on the return to Turfway, Dana's Beauty goes off as the 2-1 favorite and gets it done. Gets it done pretty easily. Sand and Sea runs 2nd. I had that one in 2nd. And Austere runs 3rd, and I had that one in 3rd. So boom, boom, boom. Cold trifecta in the Latonia yesterday. Not that it was huge. I'm just looking exact. Exact was $33. The trifecta was 31 for 50 cents. So I guess they were okay in there. But Dana's Beauty getting it done. Win number 12 in start number 45 for the 7-year-old mare for Mike Maker and John Stewart's Resolute Racing. I mean, if you're following, John Stewart has hopped into the game in a big way. Next summer, I had a little brief conversation with him at the sale, Facing Tipton sale last summer up at Saratoga. But I'm going to try to get him maybe to come over and sit in because he's been an interesting player, I guess is the proper terminology over the last certainly year or so. He jumped in at ownership in a big way, and he's playing internationally and been an interesting guy. And as I say, maybe we'll try to get him in. But I had the winner in that Latonia yesterday with his Resolute Racing. All right, we'll take another break. When we come back, interesting stake at Gulfstream, couple down at Oaklawn as well. We'll catch up with those right after this. Stay tuned.
Coming right back, the American, the European, and it is theatrical in front. Trempolino driving hard. Pull out as he's trying to get him. And here is the winner. And theatrical has won it. Absolutely spectacular.
You like free money? Well, Capital OTB gives its players plenty of opportunities to cash in. At Capital OTB, there are so many ways for horse players to receive bonus dollars by simply participating in promotions such as our bankrolls, bounty bets, online handicapping contests, and much, much more. Plus, with Capital OTB's Player Rewards program, you get actual cash back. So what are you waiting for? Log on today at CapitalOTB.com or CapitalOTBBet.com and claim your free money.
And it's the filly Winning Colours. Gary Stevens going to the whip left-handed. Just one crack though. It's Winning Colours turning in an absolutely outstanding performance. We're looking at one exceptional filly.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops, my bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Welcome back. Gulfstream yesterday, the Texas Glitter Sprinters on the turf. Fun field in here and a fun result for me, which was surprising given the morning line. Which I thought was generous. But I liked Encanto yesterday. This was an interesting field. The betting public went with no evidence. Third-time starter for Christophe Clement off a seasonal debut maiden breaker. Started the career up at Saratoga, running 3rd in July, and then laid off until middle of February and came back and won. And the Christophe Clement, Dean Reeves and company, Randy Hill runner, went off as the 3-2 favorite. And I have nothing against, though. I just thought in this field, I'm not quite buying that one as the favorite. Morning line favorite was Gabaldon for Jose D'Angelo that won a stake in the career debut last year at Gulfstream in May. That was a win and you're in for Royal Ascot. They went over to Royal Ascot and ran 2nd. That was in June. Obviously, Royal Ascot hadn't been seen since. So there were some question marks there, I guess. The betting public still made it to 2-1 second choice. I went with Encanto, who had more experience than anybody else in the field with 9 starts only one win, but that was the maiden breaker 2 back, and the follow-up I thought was pretty good. But more importantly, it was a Jose D'Angelo trainee, and he had Gabladon in here. So, again, it's one of those where trainer knows what he has in both spots. So you can see on the outside here, Encanto is making a nice late run. No evidence, and Gabladon were kind of duking it out. But Encanto gets up shadow of the wire. Again, 9-1 from a 6-1 morning line. So $21 for a horse that I had on top, thought was interesting. The other two I had underneath. And so you wound up with, a $54 exact in there and a $140 triple with some logical players, I thought, but it seemed like they let Encanto get away. Again, on the longer half of the uncoupled entry scenario there with a $21 winner. We'll see what is ahead for this one. Being a Jose D'Angelo runner, he runs up at Saratoga, and there would be some opportunities, you would think, going forward. Ran at Saratoga last summer in a maiden try, so wouldn't be surprised to see that one later this year come up in our direction. Also yesterday down at Oaklawn, a couple of stakes races. The Purple Martin was for 3-year-old fillies going 6. It'll be Kimchi Cat. Speaking of Saratoga, this Tommy Amos runner, 2 wins on the resume. They were both last summer up at Saratoga. Started the career at Churchill, ran second, then came up to Saratoga, broke the maiden. Off of that, went in the Bolton Landing. That was an off-the-turfer, won that. Tried the Pocahontas, didn't fare well at the end of the season. But in the 3-year-old debut, Kimchi Cat looks very good for Tommy Amos. Rafael Bejarano on board. Kentucky Smoke Show second. Asking for a raise in third. But as the close-up second choice at 8-5, Kimchi Cat starts the season off very nicely. Again, 3rd win in 5 career starts, and being a Tommy Amos horse, wouldn't be surprised to see her up at Saratoga. But again, this is a horse that's already shown some talent. Nice little 3-year-old filly. Has shown talent on the sprint side of things. If you have a talented 3-year-old filly, is she going to try to stretch out? I don't think at this stage of the calendar they're looking at Kentucky Oaks, but it'll be interesting to see. I would think, given the scenario so far, they would stick sprinting. But, they tried the Pocahontas at a mile. That didn't work out that well. Other than that, we're looking at, a horse cross the line through the 2-turn race, and she's 3 for 4 so far in the career with a 2nd place finish, sprinting. So we'll keep our eyes on Kimchi Cat. And also yesterday, it was the Essex Grade 3 event for $500,000, 4-year-olds and up 9 furlongs. And a horse I have liked throughout the career, but has only won 5 times in 24 starts, which is pretty good, but, percentage-wise. But, so Red Route 1, 5 wins in 24 starts coming into yesterday, but $1.8 million. You can't shake a stick at that. Keith Asmussen on board for his father. Red Route 1 will be the number 1 horse here at 5-1. The favorite was Kinetic, however, at 6-5. Kinetic, the number 5 horse, runs disappointing 5th, but Red Route 1 gets it done. Chart margin is 4+ lengths. Tarantino 2nd, Speed Bias 3rd. Again, now has won 6 times in 25 starts, but maybe more importantly, with the purse yesterday, crosses the $2 million mark. Red Route 1, a very nice 5-year-old son of Gun Runner for Winchell Thoroughbreds and Steve Asmussen, again with his son on board. $12 and change there for the Asmussen trainee down at Oaklawn. So again, there was the action, obviously 2 big cards at Fairgrounds and Turfway, but there were some other nice stakes on the day as well yesterday. I had pulled up currently the Kentucky Derby leaderboard, And Tiztastic, off of yesterday's win, 119 points, is currently atop. Final Gambit yesterday picking up points, second with 100. Chunk of Gold, third in their coal battle, who is going to have a start next weekend, 70 points. Owen Almighty with 65. Citizen Bull, 60. Sovereignty running next week, 60. American Promise, the Wayne Lucas horse, with 55. Flying Mohawk, the price that I liked a little bit yesterday, 50 points, and Flood Zone with 50. They're your top 10. You would think they're all in with 50. There will be certainly some juggling up of the leaderboard over the next few weeks. And just speaking of juggling up there, so your top 10, at least 50 points gets you into the top 10. But number 20, Sandman is number 20 with 29 points. And again, there will be some leapfrogging of that, certainly, because we still have coming up Florida Derby, Arkansas Derby, Wood, Santa Anita Derby, and the Bluegrass, which are both offering points that will, again, move horses up the list. And some of these at the bottom will get leapfrogged, although some of these at the bottom also will be those running over the next couple of weeks. Chancellor McPatrick is interesting with 35. And Getaway Car has 46. Some of these will also, you would think, go by the wayside. But it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out over the next couple of weeks and how the Derby points play out. But as I say, you would think everybody in the top 10 with 50 points would be fairly safe. Certainly historically, that's the case. So again, nice 3-year-old action yesterday. Nice 3-year-old action coming up as well over the next couple of weeks that will finalize things for the Kentucky Derby. And it's going to be interesting to see the final field. The 3-year-old crop is interesting this year. I don't know if you're looking and feeling like there's a superstar or even a little group of superstars. It's not quite as ill-defined as I would have said last year's crop was, because last year you were getting, there would be a huge performance. That horse would come back and everybody would be waiting, and that horse would kind of toss in, if not a dud, not a spectacular performance, and somebody else would run. And so they were just, you were looking and waiting for somebody to step up, and nobody ever really did. Really right through the Triple Crown season. And then once we got into summer, the 3-year-olds started to become a little more interesting. And then, of course, Breeders' Cup Classic, the 3-year-olds run 1, 2, 3, Sierra Leone, Fierceness, and Forever Young. And subsequently, again, we've talked about it now for the past few weeks, those 3-year-olds, as they become 4-year-olds, have run very nicely in the first 3 months of the season to provide us with what looks to be a good older division, a very good older division this year as compared to last year. The older division the whole year long, as evidenced by the 3-year-olds running 1, 2, 3 in the Classic. The older division last year was a little bit suspect, but I think it's going to play out far more intriguing this year. But again, the 3-year-old class at this point this year, I think, is a little more interesting than it was last year, where they kind of beat each other. But we'll define that obviously a little more over the next couple of weeks. And Sovereignty is very intriguing, but stuck outside down at Gulfstream next week for Florida Derby. So we'll see how that plays out as well. But we'll take one more break. We'll come back and just hit you with some news and notes before we wrap things up on this Sunday morning. So thanks for tuning in. Racing Across America. Enjoy it. Again, don't forget Hoops and Horses here at the Clubhouse Racebook today. Come on down, watch all the NCAA action and all the racing action as well. Grab a little lunch at Black Bear. That's today here at the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. But back in a moment as we continue Racing Across America on a Sunday morning. Stay tuned.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
Yeah, I printed up a few days ago charts from the past few Kentucky Derbies to work on something there. And I was just looking at last year's. Mystic Dan is still work in progress as a 4-year-old, and we'll see what shakes out there. He was a work in progress after the Derby win as a 3-year-old. But running second in the Derby last year, Sierra Leone, Forever Young ran third. They have both now become 4-year-olds, and Forever Young has looked pretty good. Sierra Leone, again, yesterday in the 4-year-old debut, 103 buyer, again, visually, but was up against it pace-wise. We'll see going forward. Fierceness, who ran 15th as the favorite in the Kentucky Derby, have yet to see. But again, there are some others in that class from last year that have run very well and are proving to be players. And again, a handicap division, I think, is going to be much, much more potent than it was last year. And I'm an Eclipse voter, and last year you got to that older division, you were kind of searching around to make a vote there. So, all right, I'm going to wrap it up here. Let me hit you with some of the promos that are coming up over the next week. We'll be down at Gulfstream, by the way, but Turfway, and again, I fly out on Wednesday, so won't be in on Wednesday. But Turfway, the Turfway bounty bet comes back on Wednesday. It's every other Wednesday. So that'll be this week. It's the early pick 5 at Turfway. You play it with your Capital OTB Bets account, you get a shot. But that's coming up again on Wednesday. Friday and Saturday, again, we will be live at Gulfstream Park. Sunday, we'll have a recap as well. But 8:30 a.m. on Friday, Racing Across American Handicapper Support, 8 a.m. on Saturday. And again, we're early. We're on the Gulfstream Park set in the paddock where you see, Ron and Brian and Samantha. So we have to kind of wrap up before they start their day. So we're kind of early, but mark it and tune in. We'd love to have you checking things out. And we will be cutting in during the afternoon on those days as well. Next Saturday, there's going to be a match bet promotion here at the Clubhouse Racebook on Florida Derby Day. So keep that in mind as well. All right, Seth Merrow, wrapping it up for a Sunday morning. We'll be back in, an hour and a half or so for OTB Live for Sunday afternoon. Yesterday, we were doing okay. Again, I was a little bit late, maybe winners at Gulfstream, but we had the $21 winner in the mix, and I think one or two others. So it was a nice day. And some of the other offerings offered up some opportunities as well. We'll try to keep that going this afternoon as we wrap up our local action before we hop on the jet plane middle of the week and head down to Florida. But again, we appreciate you tuning in this morning, Racing Across America on this Sunday morning that will lead into a Sunday afternoon and OTB Live. We'll see you then. We would like to thank Gulfstream Park for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB. Gulfstream Park's championship meet runs now through March 30th with high-quality action throughout, including the Florida Derby on Saturday, March 29th.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital